Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with another episode. And of course, I will be discussing an NFL topic. Now, this is a very unfortunate topic, and rest in peace to Rondale Moore. But Kyle Pitts posted the other day on Instagram uh, that Rondale Moore, he went to the funeral, and there were only about 6 or 7 teammates there from at the funeral, which is very sad because whether you were a teammate of his or not, you were a contemporary, you were a fellow athlete, you were supposed to be a part of a brotherhood in the NFL. And for not that many people to show up, especially and not enough to make an offense or making a defense, there wasn't even 11 people there, according to Kyle Pitts' story, is very disheartening. So this is a story I felt very passionate about, especially with the NFL players and what they go through and the CTE. Not to put that on him, but just the injuries they go through and how difficult it is to be an NFL player and how barbaric it is and how the fan base is rapid and how the ownership is predatory and what they do to players. But it's very difficult to see. But the old saying is that nobody gets the flowers when they can still smell them. But according to this story and most stories now, they're not even getting the flowers then, because it's just every it seems very self-serving of people not just to show up for take an hour or two out of their day to attend a simple funeral, and it's very disheartening. But we're not aware if you know players had other obligations, but even those you can put on the back burner, or did somebody contribute to funeral? But even then, that's not attendance. So it's very disheartening. But I think it's one of those things where Kyle Pitts is young and he's still figuring it out, as most of us are. But he'll learn that as you get older, you'll understand the concept of people and why people do the things that they do. So people are very self-serving, especially nowadays, because whether especially you think about the climate that we live in today, not the weather climate, but the political climate. People are going against their self-interest, even if it hurts them, and we're seeing that now today. So people are very self-serving when it comes to money. So if it was money driven, people would probably shown up. But since it wasn't money driven, people didn't show up because this is what the agenda of today's climate is. Everything is very centered towards financial gains. Will support anybody if it helps you get another dollar. And it's very sad because America was not really built on that. It was built on, well, it's supposed to be built on harsh, on principles and integrity, but it's not that anymore. It's built on a dollar, and America's is driven by the dollar. So everything's about that. About how can I save a dollar? How can I make one? How can I sell for a dollar? And it used to be the old adage, buy for a dollar, sell for three. I mean, sell for two. But now it's buy for a dollar, sell for 15. That's just where it is now. We always talk about the iPhone costs over $1,000 and it only costs about $10 to make, $12 to make. So it just shows you where society is. But me being, just after decades of reading and hearing stories, this story is becoming the norm, unfortunately, of just people not showing up for people or being supportive. Now you see people getting incarcerated and not have people come to their sentencing. You've seen people not support people once they get locked up. Nobody knew that person. There's been a lot of stories out there of things like that, and it's becoming the norm. And integrity is at an all time low, unfortunately. But we saw that trend for decades now, and it's just finally starting to hit or render its ugly head. So Kyle Pitts' story is an unfortunate story, but it's going to be a story going forward. Um, they love you when you're useful, so call it jaded, but it is reality. Um, unless it's somebody directly in your family or a direct loved one, I wouldn't expect them to be at a funeral or anything remotely close to that, just because of the self-serving purpose of people today. And it's not just to be negative, but it's just being facing reality and what it is. So people shouldn't be too mistaken by it or too shocked by it. It's more shocking from the NFL aspect because it was more considered a brotherhood, especially for the players' sake, because they're fighting for rights now that they're trying to get as far as contracts and guaranteed money and just better health for the players and better safety. So this is a sign that they're not together. They're not collectively. trying to get things done, and there probably won't for a while. Because when the CBA comes up, they're gonna fold again and let these owners, billion-dollar owners, just pretty much run roughshod over them and get whatever they want because they want to make the quick dollar. Sometimes they have to sacrifice a couple months of not being paid and things like that for them to actually get these things done. But they're making so much money they can put some money back, but they don't want to do that. So it's going to be very difficult for them to get anything accomplished when these owners know this. Um, and one of my favorite quotes from Chris Rock said that, most people are in denial. Let's see, most people are in denial about only women and children are loved unconditionally. Men are only loved for what they can provide. So that statement is kind of powerful because when you think about government programs like WIC, for example, it's called Women, Infant, and Children. Men are not included in that because men are expected to be the providers and to provide, and they're always expected to have. But when a man doesn't have, then he is devalued in that sense. So, but it's kind of hypocritical because when a man try to gets the money, then people criticizing him for neglecting other obligations, and they also treat the man like only thing he cares about is money. But men are expected to pay the bills, expected to provide, and they're side-eyed if they don't, or they're devalued if they don't. So a man's value is placed in money. So it's kind of conflicting to the NFL situation because if you're not making the money and somebody's taking care of you, they don't consider you a man. But at the same time, when you're just going to go get the money, it's one of those things where you're only money serving. So it's a delicate balance that I don't see many people being able to balance. But it's one of those difficult things in life, one of those double standards that men have to deal with because it's without money in today's society, a man has no use. So, um, but nothing more powerless than being a man in this world and not being able to pay for things or being broke and not having the resources and being able to provide your family with the best of the best. So we always strive to get our families the best of the best. But in the sense of all of that, you have to have a balance, which is very delicate balance. I said it's one of those scales that is very difficult to balance. The slightest thing can offset that balance, but as long as everybody's getting taken care of, I guess everything is okay. But with this story with the NFL, there's a plethora of players who came in contact with. He's played for, I believe, 3 teams, and for only 7 players to show up, that's only about 2 players per team, which the math is not mathing at all. So you're telling me no coaches, no owners showed up, no, uh team affiliates, no third party vendors, nobody showed up. It was a big story. It was on ESPN. It was highlighted all through social media. It's not one of those things where he was a walk on player. He was a highly recruited player coming out of college and one of the fastest guys to ever grace the league. He was very talented. So it's not like he was an unknown guy. He was very known. Not the biggest of names, but definitely one of the biggest of talents. So it's unfortunate to see this story, but it's a story that Kyle Pitts will learn that has unfortunately become the norm nowadays. So, um, but it's one of the things that another proof that the NFL is very divisive and not very together, as far at least on the player side, because the owners we know they're very um, cohesive and they collude all the time. So the players have to get on the same boat and become more cohesive because this story is just showing that they're very divisive and they won't ever fix it. Won't be it's something that's very difficult for them to fix. And it's something that they have to fix if they want to reach that next level. So tell me your thoughts about this Rundale Moore story, and rest in peace to Rundale Moore and condolences to his family. Until next time, I'll see you next time.